Well, hello! Did you miss me? It's been a couple of weeks since graduation, and I'm back in Minnesota. This is my mom's house, and I miss you guys, so I wanted to check in real quick. So since I've been back, I got to see my nephews, Nolan and Brayden. They're turning 2 next month, which is crazy to me because when I left for the MBA, they had just been born and they were really early, so they were in the NICU, the emergency room, and we were kind of in that phase of we're not totally sure if they were gonna make it. And now I'm back and they're walking and talking and they're just so cute. Like, they're at that perfect age, and I'm really excited to spend some time with them and my brother and sister-in-law this weekend at the cabin. I've had a couple of people ask me if I'm having reverse culture shock, and actually I'm not. I kind of feel like maybe I've done this enough times over the holidays, going back and forth across the Atlantic, that I'm become a chameleon or something. It's actually really good to be home. I like it. I miss it. We have this Minnesota culture where they call Minnesota nice, where everybody is almost overly nice to you. Everyone wants to have a conversation and know your life story, which drives people on the West and East Coast crazy when they come to visit the Midwest. But I love it. So I'm these are my people. It's kind of fun to experience Minnesota nice culture as almost an external person, because it is a little bit of a culture shock and I notice it for the first time instead of being immersed in it. So I think that's really cool and I love it. So yeah, I'm living at my mom's house. Nothing like turning 30 in August and living at your mom's house. Hot! So good right now. But I'm also having Twilight Zone flashbacks, because the last time I lived with my mom, I had just graduated from undergrad, which would have been 7 years ago. So that would have made me 22. And I remember the confusion and the panic and the oh my God, what am I going to do with my life and my career at the time? And it's funny because here I am 7 years later kind of going through the same experience. And I've had some weird parallel universe similarities to 7 years ago. For example, as soon as I got back to St. Cloud, I went to the library because I missed that library. It's awesome, and I haven't had a lot of access to English-speaking books for a while. So I went and I got just a pile of books, and I was so excited. I was going to check out, and I saw this book out of the corner of my eye in a random section of the library, and I was like, oh, that looks good, and literally did a drive-by grab and go, and didn't even look at the title of the book or what it was about. Threw it in my cart, checked out, got home. Now, when I think back, when I was 22, I was in that same library, and I think I grabbed this book from the same spot. It's a different book, but when I was 22 and going through all of this chaos of what am I going to do with my life, I remember picking up a book from that spot, and it was called The Quarter Life Crisis, and about how we were raised in a generation of you can be anything that you want to be, do anything that you want to do, and then we had the 2007, 2008 thing, and it was okay, I have this ideal, and then I'm not actually doing anything, and I'm jobless, and blah, blah, blah. So we were kind of going through this weird identity thing, and so basically what the Quarter Life Crisis did was talk about people who were going through that, and they talked to people in their early 20s and their late 20s, and it was just nice. It was comforting at the time to hear other people were going through a similar thing, and basically people in their late 20s were relax, it all works out, it's fine. And so anyway, fast forward to 7 years later, I grabbed this book and go, and like I said, I didn't actually look at the title. I do now. It's called Midlife Crisis at 30, which is a horrible title for a book. I just get anxiety even reading that. But Quarter Life Crisis, Midlife Crisis at 30, there's a 7-year parallel universe. I'm sitting on the same freaking couch reading basically the same freaking book, but for a different age. And it's just I don't know, it kind of freaked me out a little bit. And it made me think of where I was when I was 22 and where I am now as 29. And I think the bad thing about reading The Quarter Life Crisis and comforting myself and being okay, it'll all work out, is that I kind of went I got in the passenger seat of my own life and didn't pursue my passions and didn't go after what I really wanted because I got complacent or comfortable. I've said that to a couple of friends who disagree because you know, I did eventually like go off and get the MBA, but good for me. But now that I'm 29, I'm like, I'm not going to let that happen again. Like, I'm going to go after what I want and be passionate about. And I don't care how much time it takes or how I got to hustle. Like, I will make this work. So many of you know that I'm working on writing a book. So I'm going to continue to work on that as a little bit of a passion project for me as well. I have a couple of business ideas and I don't know when and if they'll come to fruition, but I'm a big believer that action and engagement is the only way to really figure out if something works and if you're passionate about it and if it has long-term longevity. So instead of being like, oh, I don't know if this works, I have this idea, I'm like, okay, I'm going to like deep dive and get more information and figure out if this is a thing. Meanwhile, still like job searching and all that, but you can only do that so much in a day. Am I right? Okay, so that was a quick Humor and Heels update. Love you all, miss you all, and talk to you soon. Ciao for now.